We want to get more on the rise in attacks now from Justin Daniels. He's the author of Data Reimagined, Building Trust One Byte, B-Y-T-E, at a time. Also a data privacy attorney. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're in the age of cyber attacks. We have been for a number of years. The world is a digital place. That's not going to change. Neither will people who want to take advantage of that. So when you're at home watching a story like this and hear a name you know like MGM Grand or Clorox or what have you, what should the average person take away when these kind of attacks are back in the news?
I think what they need to take away is we now live in an era where your digital footprint is an extension of who you are. So now when you're at the restaurant and they say, hey, give us your email and we'll give you your receipt printed out electronically, you need to think, do I want to give them my email to simply get a digital receipt? Because now that company is storing information about you. And as we talked about with Caesars, MGM, Clorox, these companies have treasure troves of personal information about all of us. So as an individual, you want to be thinking about when and how do I want to share my digital identity or keep those doors firmly shut.
But I think a lot of people are wondering, look, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations. This is not some small ma and pa store that can't afford good security. So how do they protect themselves? If MGM and Caesars can't protect themselves or Clorox, what can we do?
The first thing we have to do is we have to have a shift in our mindset. And here's what I mean by that. When I grew up, my parents never thought about putting on their seatbelt. But when we all woke up this morning to come in at the crack of dawn, we put on our seatbelt, didn't even think about it. Why? Because one, education about seatbelts save lives and laws have been passed. So when I think about cybersecurity is how can we make cybersecurity the digital seatbelt of the 21st century?
And so to go back to your example then, do I want to give the restaurant my email for the receipt? I typically say yes because it's one less piece of paper. It's good for the environment. It's an email. It's there forever. I don't have to worry about it. But is that not the best course of action? What should we say when the restaurant says, would you like a digital receipt?
Well, you might want to say, and they'll look at you crazy as well, what are you doing with my email? Clearly they want your email because what do they want to do? They want to find out when your birthday is. So my wife got a cup of coffee in California. We were out there speaking. And 10 minutes later, she gets an email from that company saying, hey, when is your birthday? We want to send you a coupon. Now think about what you can do if you have somebody's email and you have their birth date and how you might be able to socially engineer at the doctor's office. Or if you're a hacker, you might call up an employee that you found on LinkedIn from MGM or Caesars and say, hey, they're impersonating the IT department. Hey, we just need to reset your password and username. What is it so we can do it?
What about setting up just another email account for crap like that? You have your main email that your mom and your dad and your friends know, and then you have another one that's just for junk like that. Is that safer?
I do that exactly. So I have one account. We'll call it the crap email account.
There you go.
And then we have
That's
the
a technical term.
That is a technical cybersecurity term, the crap email.
Yep.
But then the other thing you can do is use a password manager. So you can have complex passwords. But the other thing that you can do is, even if you have a complex password, you can still have like one last phrase that you only know. So even if they hacked your password manager, they wouldn't know your password because there's still something on the end that is personal to you that you have in your head that isn't part of your password.
But look we are now, at this point, you've given your email, I've given my email, everybody knows it. You know your birthday, we're all on Facebook and everyone says happy birthday to you. So a lot of our information is already out there. So what can we do at this point to protect ourselves, if anything?
Well, I think what we can do to protect ourselves is be more mindful now of when you give out information. I use Tiger Woods' birthday. I don't use my own birthday. But as you said, a lot of people use their information. And so you need to be thoughtful now of when am I going to open up my digital identity and let people walk in and have something. And then the other thing is what are the types of ways that I'm monitoring activity, kind of like knowing freezing your credit. That is one thing that you might want to do. You might even want to freeze your child's credit, although unfortunately the credit agencies make it really hard to do. But you really now have to be thinking about how cybersecurity and your digital identity is just part of your day, much like going out to your car and putting on your seatbelt. How you think about and protect your digital identity just has to be part of your routine, much like going on social media or whatnot. It has to get to that point, and we're not there yet.
Can I offer my deeply cynical perspective on this? Far be it from me to ever be cynical.
You cynical?
So deeply. They've hacked big businesses. They've hacked foreign governments. They've hacked our government, the FBI, the State Department. And if these guys can get into the government and get into big business, there's not a chance in hell that Joe Blow citizen is going to do anything to ever really fight back or protect himself. And we live in an age, people want easy, they want digital, they want convenient. You're not going to break that. So it just kind of is what it is.
I guess my response to that very eloquent thought would be,
I'm right, that's all, thank you.
no, just, you make a fair point, but I also think we live in a digital economy, and we have to think as a society, how are we going to approach this differently? It's much like, think about cars. Back in the 1900s when they first came out, there were no safety features. Now we all drive a car, we're ensconced in airbags and all kinds of safety features.
Right.
So to me, it's a continuum. But it starts with education and changing mindset, because you can start to build products that have cybersecurity by design. But we're not there yet for the exact reason
But why
that you
not?
said.
What's taking? That's my point. Then what's taking so long? This isn't the first cyber attack. This has been happening for years.
And these companies have plenty of money to do something.
Sure. But the question is, what is the imperative that gets them to say, I need to have cybersecurity by design? So what is one of the biggest trends that we're seeing in the last 10 years? Increased cybersecurity and privacy regulation. 12 states now have privacy laws. The Securities and Exchange Commission just passed a cyber regulation. I can't wait to see what Caesars is going to say to the SEC and say, we paid the ransom, we're trusting that the hacker isn't going to release our data. I'm wondering how that's going to go over with the SEC when both the Biden administration and the FBI say, we don't want you paying ransoms under any circumstance because you're aiding and abetting crime.
And my thing is, very few places on earth have tighter security than a casino.
Right.
Because of all the money that flows through there. So if they got into Caesars and MGM, I just think, wow, they're pretty good at what they do.
Even our Defense Department. I mean, how do you rectify that?
How you rectify that is what we were talking about, is you have to harden your defenses. And that means defense in depth, meaning they might be able to get past the first 1, 2, 3, or 4 levels of defense, but that's why for certain targets like the government, the military, you have 6, 7, and 8. And a lot of companies out there, they don't even have defense level 1 and 2.
They've got to pay for it.
And real quick before you leave, can I have the last word of your social and your mother's maiden name?
And your birthday, not Tiger Woods.
Before, just real quick.
All I'm going to say is, in the cybersecurity industry, scaring is caring.
Well
Tiger
said.
Woods' birthday. May your wife never chase you with a golf club Thanksgiving week. Thank you, Justin Daniels, author of Data Reimagined. A true story. Look it up. Building trust one bite at a time. Appreciate your time and your insight.
Thank you.
And
Thank
for
you.
dealing with my cynicism.